Okay, let's talk about health insurance in Germany. It might not sound like the most interesting topic when you hear it, but actually, health insurance is really important. For one, it gives you coverage when something happens to you, so you are taken care of, and you don't have to pay a fortune for it. It doesn't bankrupt you, so you can live your life comfortably. Rest assured that knowing in case something happens to you, someone will take care of you, and someone will take care of you at a reasonable price. So this is number one. Number two, health insurance actually is a mandatory component when you apply for a visa and when you apply for a residence permit. So it's an integral part of coming to Germany and living in Germany. That is why it's important to have some knowledge about the topic. I'll break down the topic in two basic blocks. One block will be the insurance that you need to come to Germany, and then the insurance that you need to be in Germany. So, number one, what insurance do you need to come to Germany? That would be a travel insurance. So, that is for this period when you get a visa or you apply for a visa, you get a visa, you come to Germany, and then you start in Germany doing everything that you have to do in the first days, weeks, that you have a travel insurance that will insure you. That is something that is more short term. So this little piece, transition piece between your home country and Germany is covered by travel insurance. The travel insurers there are various providers of them. Usually, all the embassies have a list of travel insurance providers for your country, so you can get a somewhat relatively cheap policy, and it covers you for a certain amount of time. Usually, the minimum amount of time is actually already enough if it's a month, because you will not be in this transitional stage for much longer than that. Because after you have arrived in Germany, this staying in Germany part begins. And with that comes the proper real health insurance. So the travel insurance will be gone, and you will get a health insurance by a German healthcare provider that will cover you then for the at least the very medium term future of your stay in Germany, and maybe even in the long term. So that is the second part. So it's the short term coming to Germany, and then the long term actually being in Germany. How you can break down the health insurance. The second part, being in Germany and getting a health insurance, can then also be broken down into two main components. The first one is the mandatory health insurance. It's sometimes also translated into public health insurance. In Germany, it's called gesetzliche Krankenversicherung. So, like the name suggests, this is mandatory. So, if you are an employee, for example, you are obliged, it's mandatory for you to be in the mandatory health insurance system until you earn 60,750 euros per year. And in that system, all the members of a healthcare provider, there are over 100 healthcare providers in the mandatory system. All the members pay into the healthcare provider, into a common kind of a bucket, and then whenever something happens to you, the healthcare provider is paying to the doctor or to the hospital from that common bucket. So everyone is contributing, and some people every once in a while are taking something from it. So if you're an employee, like I said, you are obliged to be in it until you earn more than 60,750 euros per year. The health insurance takes 14.6% out of your monthly paycheck. So this is just normal procedure. This is already deducted from the salary that you receive. So your starting salary before taxes and all those expenses is different than the one that you receive, because payments like your healthcare payment is already automatically done. So if you're an employee, you don't have to do anything. You just have to give the healthcare provider details to your employer, and this will be done automatically. So it's 14.6% of your monthly salary is automatically being used for the healthcare, and this goes up to around 54,900 euros. So that is the maximum amount that will be charged. So the maximum amount of money that will be taken from your salary per year is around 7,900 euros. So the maximum amount of money that is taken from your salary per month is around 660 euros. And you have to know that this 660 euro is paid equally by the employer and by you. So actually, of the 660 euros that you are contributing to the healthcare provider, it is only half of that that is taken out of your salary, and the other half, the other 50% of that, around 330 euros at the maximum, is paid by the employer. So whatever the employer is paying you as a salary, they always have to consider those payments on top of it. So 330 euros is the maximum amount of money that you would have to pay into a mandatory system if you are an employee. With this mandatory healthcare provider system, you get all the doctor's visits, a hospital visit, basic dental care, all of this is covered by it. You get a little plastic chip card that has your details saved on it. Whenever you check in at a doctor's office, you have to go to the hospital, you just give your card and everything is handled automatically via the process in the background. So there's no invoices being handed out to you. You don't have to pay any major sums. Sometimes you have to pay for small minor things like if you go to the hospital and you need crutches, then you have to might pay 5 euros in person there. But all the big bills are handled automatically by the system. Okay, so there's nothing that is needs to be done by you manually in that regard. There are some things that are not covered by the mandatory system, which is private hospitals, private doctors, advanced dental care. So if you want to do any of those things, then you would have to pay those things yourself. So that is not part of the mandatory system. And if you are a student, there are special student tariffs with low fees per month because, of course, you don't have a salary. So you can get relatively cheaper deals if you're a student from healthcare providers in Germany. And next to the mandatory healthcare system, there's the private healthcare system, which you can get if you're an employee, if you earn more than 60,750 euros per year, but also if you are self-employed, you can get this private health insurance. With this, you get more service. So all the private doctors, private hospitals, advanced dental care, all this is taken care of. If you want to make an appointment at a doctor's office, you probably will get priority treatment, so you will get an appointment much faster than someone who would apply for an appointment who is a member of a mandatory system. So you get more for it. How the system works then is that you have to pay those things in person yourself. You will get the invoice from the doctor or the hospital. Then you have to send that invoice to the healthcare provider that you are a member of, and the healthcare provider will then reimburse you the money that you spent at the doctor's office. So it is a little complex. I find it to be. There's a lot of paying up front, getting it back, a little bit more hassle. So it's something that you have to decide if you want it or not, if getting the advanced treatment is worth it. In the end, you will not lose money because everything will be paid back to you, but you have to consider that there might be a little bit more upfront payment and a little bit more effort needed in it. If you are a student, you are also able to become part of a private health insurance company. For that, you would need an official exemption from the mandatory system. So that is also some efforts that you have to do administratively with authorities to get the exemption, and then you could be part of a private health insurance company. In general, if you come here as a student or if you come here in the beginning, a mandatory healthcare provider is the somewhat easier solution. You have to know that once you choose one, you have to stay with that one for 18 months. So for 1.5 years, you then have to stay. And afterwards, you can switch to another provider within the mandatory system or go to a private system, whichever you like to do. Okay, let's quickly recap the healthcare system in Germany. Number one, it's super important because people will take care of you for a low price. Number two, you need it for visa applications and for when applying for a residence permit. You have two main phases and two main types of insurances that you need to think of when coming to Germany. Number one, the short-term travel insurance for your way into Germany, and then number two, the more long-term general health insurance from a German provider for your mid and long-term stay in Germany. The more long-term stay in Germany can then also be broken down in two elements. The mandatory system, where everyone is putting money together in the system, and the providers are then paying automatically your bills when you go somewhere. You get less coverage than the private system, but still very, very good coverage. If you are an employee, a monthly part of your salary will be taken out, the other part will be paid by your employer. There's then also the private system, where you get more coverage, but you have to pay upfront and then hand the invoice to the healthcare provider and they pay you back. And if you choose a mandatory provider, you have to stay with them for 18 months. So this is the basic overview of the healthcare system, how healthcare works, what the different options are, what you should consider, what is things that you need to think about when you get health insurance. So I hope this made this a little clearer, and I hope this made your journey into Germany easier, or it will make your journey into Germany easier at some point in the future.